All right, moving on, we are now going to do something with 3 or 4 steps. We're going to solve equations with variables on both sides. And then we're going to solve equations with grouping symbols, which will add an additional step. And then we're going to solve equations with no solution or infinite solutions. Just because of these type of problems, sometimes these are possibilities. So we need to go over those different types. All right, so these are some basic steps that they put together. I kind of spread them out a little bit. Simplify the expressions on each side, use the distributive property as needed. Use addition or subtraction of equality to get the variables on one side and numbers without variables on the other side. And then we're going to multiply and divide to solve. Now I wrote them out this way. This is their number one step is these two. Their number two step is these two. And their number three, so I kind of broke them up a little bit more. So I would recommend kind of looking over these as opposed to those, but I have both of them in case you want it. So what are we going to do? We're going to remove parentheses. That's distributing, that's multiplying. And then any like terms that are on the same side, we're going to just look at the left side and the right side and just see if we can clean up any of our messes. Then we're going to move our variable over by adding or subtracting. Then we're going to move our adding and subtracting to the other side. Then we're going to remove multiplication and division, and we're going to write our answer, simplify any fraction. We do not want any decimals. All right, so here's our first one. 8 plus 5s equals 7s minus 2. Notice we have s's on both sides. So this is going to cause us to do more things. Now, the first two steps kind of go together with there's parentheses. And if you notice on this one, there's really not. So we'll get to those in just a bit, but we're going to worry about the other steps. So these do not have any parentheses, so we can just move to moving the variable over. Now, it doesn't matter which way we move, but typically we want to take this variable and move it over to the left, just to make it look a lot nicer. You don't have to. You can move the 5 over. You will get the same answer. But also I need to talk to you about our pluses and minuses. This 8 doesn't have a plus or minus in front of it. It really, because it doesn't have it, it's a plus. This 5 is a plus. This symbol goes to the number after it. It doesn't always just go with the number or the variable or whatever. It just goes with what's after it. So I have a positive 8, a positive 5s, a positive 7s because there's nothing there, and then a minus 2. So this negative goes with that 2. It always goes with what's after it. And sometimes we just leave it off without it. So like here, the 7 doesn't have a plus in front because we just assume that that's what it is. If it's a minus, I'd put a negative in there. All right. So I need to move it over. So it's a positive 7s. So to get rid of a plus 7, I have to minus 7. When I minus the 7, I get negative 2s. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So I move the variables over. Now I have to move this number over. So again, this negative goes with the 2, not with the 8. The 8 is a plus. So what do I need to put underneath it? I need to put a minus 8 because it's the opposite of a plus 8. So there's our minus 8. So we have negative 2 equals negative 10. And I divide by negative 2, and s equals 5. Bunch of different steps, right? We got to write them all down. Let's try another one. All right, here's the original. 9f minus 6 equals 3f plus 7. So again, this is a positive 3f, so I have to put a negative. There's no parentheses or like terms, so all I've got to do is move the variable. So I'm going to do minus 3f. Put 1 underneath that to cancel, and then 9 minus 3 is 6. Bring down the 6, bring down the 7. Now I have that minus, and again, that minus goes with what's after it, so it's a minus 6, so I got to do plus 6. 6f equals 13. Then I'm going to divide by 6, and f equals 13/6. Notice I did not write this as a decimal. I do not want answers as a decimal. Leave it as a fraction. 13 divided by 6. Reduce it if you can. We can't. So leave it as 13 over 6, and that's your answer. Don't type that in your calculator. You're going to get it wrong. I'm not going to like that answer. All right, it's not an exact answer. The fraction is much better. All right, so we got to start getting used to doing that. All right, let's try another one here. Now notice this one. This one has decimals. This is our one exception to what I just got done saying. These answers could be in decimal. These could be in your calculator because it starts in decimals. There's not many of these, and let's go through this problem anyways. So there are no parentheses, so we don't have to worry about that. So we just go ahead and we want to get, this is a positive 5w, so we do minus 5w. 2.8 minus 5w is negative 2.2. We still have that minus 3. The minus 3's got to go over, so plus 3. And again, look at that negative still with that 0.8, so I still left that negative with that 0.8. Add those and I get 2.2. Divide by negative 2.2, and w equals negative 1. It divides evenly. Now, if it didn't and it was a decimal, it would be okay for you to state that decimal. But that's only when they start with decimals in the original problem. If not, you need to leave it as a fraction. All right. Now let's try ones with grouping symbols or parentheses. Now, what you do with parentheses is we're going to have to distribute what's on the outside. This 1/3 has to get multiplied by everything inside. This 6 gets multiplied by everything inside. So 1/3 of 18, so it's basically 18 divided by 3, is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 7 is 42. So notice how that creates another step for us to go ahead and distribute all of that and just take a look at the problem again. Now, once it's here, we can go ahead and do it normally. Now, if you remember, there is a step 2 that says add like terms. There are no like terms right now. I'll show you what a like term is in the next example, but if it's just a variable and a number, that's all we need. All right. So now we got to start moving things. So it's a positive 12q, so I do a minus 12q. 4 minus 12 is negative 8 with the 6, negative 42. Again, this is positive 6, so I got to do minus 6. The negative is with the 8. This is a positive 6. So positive 6 minus 6, minus 6. Negative 8 equals negative 48. Divide it, and q equals 6. A lot of steps. You even had to go to the next page. All right, let's try another one. All right, notice this negative 14 that's sitting out here by itself. Sometimes that happens. That's what I was talking about, like terms. When it has stuff on the outside of the parentheses like this, we're going to have to take that one extra step. So we're going to distribute. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. There's still that negative 14. 7x and 7. Now, we got a mess over here. We got a plus 12 and a minus 14. I need to combine those together. I need to put those together and get that negative 2. That's what it means by adding like terms. Notice I didn't add anything to both sides or move anything over. The 4x is still 4x, the 7x and negative 7. I just cleaned up a little bit of things. These are two numbers. Why not put them together? A positive 12 and negative 14 is negative 2. Now I can continue on. I want to move my 7x over, so minus 7x. That's negative 3x minus 2 equals negative 7. Add 2 to both sides. Negative 3x equals negative 5. Divide by negative 3. So it's negative 5 divided by negative 3. That can be reduced. They're both negative, so I can make it positive 5/3. And that's how I want it, the answer. Do not type that in your calculator. All right, just leave it that way, which is actually easier to do because I don't have to type anything in. All right, let's talk about those other possibilities. No solution or all reals or the identity. An infinite number of solutions. So let's distribute here and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute, and I get 40c and negative 16. And over here I get 320 plus 40c. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this and do my minus 40c. But if you notice, I'm minusing 40c from here, but when I do it over here also, both of them cancel out. They're both 0. So I'm left with a negative 16 and 320. That's not correct. Negative 16 doesn't equal 320. Notice these c's are the same, but the numbers are different. When that happens, this is a no solution. No matter what number I put in for c, it's never going to work. Okay, no matter what number it is, it will never give me a correct answer. So that's why it's no solution. That only happens when they're the same number, 40c and 40c. And then we look at the other numbers. Let's look at one that's in all reals. We're still going to distribute 40t plus 80. And this is 1/5, so we're really dividing it by 5. So 20 divided by 5 and 400 divided by 5. All right. And notice all of this is the same. It's equal. When it's equal, that's a situation where it's an infinite number of solutions. It can be any number can go in there. You want to put 4 in there, it works. 10 works. -3/4 works. All right. So that's the difference. Notice it's 40 and 40, but the two numbers left over are the same. Before, with the no solution, the two numbers left over are different. All right, one last example. So I'm going to go ahead and the 5x and 15. Still have that plus 2, so I have to add it. 15 plus 2 is that 17. And again, that matches perfectly. When it matches perfectly, all real numbers is my answer. And that's what I have for you today.